Hey guys, welcome to the Lydia and Ethan channel. Today we are going to tell you the 5 things that we wish that we would have known before purchasing a homestead. You're going to want to make sure that you watch all the way to the end because the 5th thing is probably the most important thing and something that you would never think about before buying a homestead, and you're going to want to know it. So before we get into it, let me tell you a little bit about who we are.
We're Lydia and Ethan. We have 4 kids, 7 and under: Grayson, Scarlett, Knightley, and Revy. This is our family vlog. In 2021, we moved our family of 6 from suburbia to a 20-acre apple orchard in a rural community. Making memories is a big deal to us, so whether we are exploring new places through travel,
Like a 5-year-old in a candy shop, and I'm ready to go.
growing our homestead,
Good job, baby.
or tracking the latest song we're recording, we don't want you to miss a single thing. So hit subscribe and come along with us for this great adventure.
So the first thing that you should think about before you buy a house in the country or a homestead is this. Where is your water coming from? Is it coming from the city? Or more than likely, if you're going to buy a homestead, it's gonna be coming from a well. So this is our well. This is a shallow well, which means it's not that deep. It's actually, when we measured it, it only has about 9 feet of water inside of our shallow well. This is something we never thought about because we always had city water, and we figured well water's gotta be all about the same. But a shallow well is actually not as reliable or honestly as safe as a deep well. Deep wells are drilled hundreds of feet below the surface into a spring, and they really don't have issues like getting contaminants in them and running out of water and things like that. The problem with a shallow well is you might run out of water, and if you do, it's going to be bad. Your well could literally cave in on itself. What we wish we would have looked into is how healthy is the water? Is it safe from contaminants? Things like that. That's something you definitely should look into before you buy a house. It's worth noting that before we bought our house, we didn't realize that our shallow well could eventually just run out or cave in on itself, or the pump could go out, and that we might have to get a deep well put in. So that's something that can cost upwards of $19,000 to put in a new well. Just be aware of that. Something we had no clue about. So now let's go to the second thing that you should look into with Lydia.
So speaking of well water, when you have a well, you have a well pump, and that is powered with electricity. So the second thing that you should really know about whenever you're getting a homestead is that you need a generator.
Do we have a generator?
No, we don't.
We don't have a generator.
But when we got all the electrical redone to this home, we actually had a generator outlet installed on the outside of our home so that we could hook up a portable generator when we finally got responsible enough to purchase one. If you live in a rural community, you are more than likely going to have power outages more than you would if you were living in a suburban area. So it's important that you have a generator at the house that you are going to purchase on your homestead, or that you have room in your budget to purchase one, because you don't want to go without power where you don't have water from your well, or where you could lose a whole freezer full of food and a whole lot of other things. So make sure that you make room in your budget for a generator, or that your property already has one.
So the third thing on your list that you should think about is what kind of equipment are you going to need on your homestead?
That was amazing. I've never heard our big one crow. That was awesome.
It's got cojones. So anyways, the third thing that you need to think about is what kind of equipment are you going to need for your acreage. When we bought our 20 acres of land, we had no idea what we were in store for to maintain it. And so we had to start thinking about, do we buy a side-by-side first? Do we buy a tractor? Do we buy a bigger lawnmower? And really, honestly, when we look back, it's one of those things where I think our tractor was definitely the most important purchase for us. Then buying a lawnmower was really important because we have 20 acres of grass that we have to mow all the time. And really right now what we wish we had was a side-by-side. So if you're doing a lot of like removing trees and other things like that, you might need a tractor. If you're mainly grass and you're going to be just doing like little projects around the homestead, a side-by-side would be a great option for you. If you really don't need to be pulling anything, a skid steer would be a great option too. So you really want to make sure, like, before you get into it, figure out for the acreage what kind of equipment do you need and what kind of projects are you going to be working on, because that's something really important that sometimes people miss even before they buy a house. Okay, so the fourth thing that you really need to be thinking about is, where is your poo going? When I say that, I mean most of the time if you're looking for a house in the country or in a homestead, you are not going to have a home that has city sewer. So you're going to have a septic system. And so the septic system consists of a septic tank where everything goes, and then over time it processes to a septic field. So when we bought this house, we were really giving it the benefit of the doubt, hoping that everything would go well and that the septic system would at least give us 5 years, maybe 6 years. And we found out within maybe 2 to 3 months that, oh no, we need an entire new septic system, because we started flushing our toilets and doing laundry, everything like that. And then we found out, oh no, nothing's flushing, because nothing could go into our septic system because everything was backed up because it was so old. So we had an entire septic system installed within the first like 3 months of us living here. It was not an expense that we really wanted to pay for, because I mean, at the end of the day, who wants to spend a bunch of money to just go to the bathroom? So we spent $7,800 to have a new septic tank and new septic system installed. So something that you can do to try to protect yourself is you can ask the current homeowner, how old is this septic system? And if they don't know, you can actually contact the county that they're living in and find out how old that septic system is based off of its registration with the county. Most of the time when somebody installs something like this, it's registered by the county that they're living in, and it can tell you how old it is. If it's past 15 years, you really don't know how long it's going to last you. If it's past 20 years, it's probably getting towards the end of its life, because our excavating company and the guy who put in our septic system said you should at least have 30 years. By the end of the 30 years, there's enough roots and stuff that have gotten into your septic system and slowed down the flow that you might need a new one.
So item number 5, guys, the most important item that we wish we would have known before purchasing a homestead is, does this homestead have hydrants throughout the property? So do you have water coming from your well being fed out to multiple sources with hydrants throughout your property so that you can actually work your property? The reason why most people get homesteads is so they can have animals or so they can grow their own food. And that gets really hard if you do not have water sources throughout all of your land. So for us on this property, it does not have any hydrants on it. That is something that down the road we will get a deep well dug and we will add hydrants through the property. But that, like Ethan said earlier, around $19,000 for a well. And then on top of it, you're gonna run all your water lines for your hydrants. How much would you say that is, Ethan? It's gonna be expensive when we finally do it, but we are capped on what we can do on our property because of not having these water sources right now. So that's why if you are purchasing a homestead and you are wanting livestock or you're wanting to majorly garden, you need to figure out, are there hydrants already on this property, or you need to factor in what it's going to cost for you to add it to your property. So the question you're probably asking us right now is, do we regret purchasing this homestead because of all the things that we just listed? And the answer is absolutely not. All of the benefits of living on this property and just how much we've enjoyed it and that we get to raise our family on it totally outweigh all of the things that we've listed. It outweighs the cost of things, and it also outweighs the workload that it took for us in manual labor.
Ultimately, if you're buying an old homestead, you might need to bring it up to the 21st century and update things. And so part of that is just doing all of the stuff that's not fun to spend money on, like a septic tank, a well, all of that stuff where it's like, this is not fun money, but it is necessary, and it updates the home, gets you back into the efficiency of the 21st century, and just kind of keeps life going for the next 30 years.
So if you own a homestead and you have things that you wish that you would have known before purchasing yours, go ahead and drop a comment with those things below. They would be helpful to us, and I'm sure they would be helpful to everybody else watching. And if you're watching and if you have questions, then go ahead and ask those questions and we will comment back and respond to you. We always answer all of our questions, and we want to help you out in any way that we can.
If you really liked this video, let us know, and we'll do a part 2 with any other things that we wish we would have known. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, for smashing the like button, and thank you for subscribing. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before 2023, and we could really use your help in doing that. So if you liked this video, subscribe. We come out with new videos every single week. We come out with shorts every single week, and we've got great material that's fun for the whole family, really entertaining, and I think you're gonna love it. So make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
We'll see you later.